we talk about that?
Yes.
Because I feel like the discourse around Jermaine Burton has been absolutely.
It's been like he's gotten arrested multiple times.
Yeah.
And look, I understand, again, he made a good point of, hey, I made a mistake in that Tennessee game, and within 2 weeks at the LSU game, the same thing happened. I was the first one off the field and in the locker room. You just want to see that kind of growth. And clearly they had the interviews with him multiple times. They felt really good about what he can offer them. And plus, like you said, if you have these guys, if you have a guy like a Dante Scarnecchia, and we talked about this on the live draft stream too, if you have a great receiving coach in Troy Walters, who has just gotten the most out of every receiver that's come through there, if you've got a great core in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and other guys who have had to learn their way through the process, and Charlie Jones and Andre Yoshivas that can help relate to him and help him through his rookie process, when you've got Troy Walters, Joe Burrow, and all of these guys being leaders for your offense, this is the perfect environment for him to come in, do the work, have the good environment surrounding him to be the best he can be. And I think he's going to be a lot like Jordan Addison was for the Vikings last year, where you just see this guy catching 20-yard plays. He averaged almost 20 yards a catch. That means if he's throwing the ball, you're talking explosive play. His ability to get open in the intermediate, the deep. He's probably not the shiftiest short route guy, but he can still do all that stuff. But man, you want to talk about a guy who's going to make defenses pay for trying to run the too high shells, and you want to tear them up the seam. This is a guy who can do it just as well as anybody.
So I like the fact that Evan and I are sitting so close together right now.
We're here just feeding off each other's
But
energy there.
I mean, because I feel like out of like Daniel and Logan watch so much film, but I feel like me and Evan are the Jermaine Burton experts when it comes to being Roll Tide fans. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
I want to go a step further.
Yeah.
Can I cook, please?
Go for it. Yeah.
I'm all for butchering false narratives. I'm all for that. And I want you to go to the wide shot here, Marissa, not just me, because I want this to be me and Evan right here. I want to butcher a couple of things real quick if I can. Let's talk about some stuff that has been said about Jermaine Burton. Okay, I've been kind of quiet on social media. I've let people cook. There's a couple of false narratives going out there. One of the ones I heard was, why so many schools? Are you referring to high school? Are we referring to high school?
I guess so.
Are we referring to high school? Because to me, I know guys that I went to high school with in my program at my high school in Montclair, New Jersey. It was an established football program, and sometimes guys leave to get better opportunities.
When they move to different counties to be on better teams, or go to move somewhere else to stay with a relative so they can go to IMG.
Yeah,
right.
Chris Henry's Jr. just left his school to go to a better school in California, right? Right. So like that's known. Then people say, "Oh no! Why did he transfer from the University of Georgia?" Does it matter? The NIL and all these different things, it has changed the landscape of college football. These guys leave for opportunities if they feel like they're being misused. But it's not like he went from the University of Georgia.
Going to run first offense.
Yeah, it's not like he went from the University of Georgia to Syracuse.
Yeah,
he went to the University of Georgia to the University of Alabama. You want to know why? Because he was going to get more play time at the University of Alabama. Alabama had a need at wide receiver, especially having all these wide receivers leave and go to the NFL. But let's continue to chop down some of the narratives out there when it comes. Yeah.
Like we know through the recruiting process and even after, and sometimes in high school, coaches will say anything to get you signed up, to get you into the program. And then as soon as they do, they might recruit another guy. They might tell you, this is your spot. Coaches lie all the time.
All the time.
That might have been, now look, is there oftentimes maybe that he didn't react well to certain situations that other people might have put their head down? Sure. But dude, I'm not going to knock you for what you did when you were 16 or 18.
100%.
Like your frontal lobe ain't even fully developed yet until you're like 24, 25 as a guy. All right. Like there is growth and maturity there. Sure. But these are all things that were addressed. The coaching staff all looked him in the eye and asked them, and were satisfied with his answer. You got to trust these guys if they were the ones who met with him face to face like that.
I'm not done. I got to keep cooking.
Keep going.
I got to keep. No, it's fine. Let's keep cooking. Another false narrative. Again, I'm all about destroying false narratives. Is Jermaine Burton did not produce in college as a freshman at Georgia. He had 404 yards, 3 touchdowns. To me, that's producing, especially
last time they had a receiver go over, I think it was 750 yards. It wasn't a tight end. Was Pickens in 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
So that was almost 8 years ago. Even Ladd McConkey didn't do it. Again, that's probably why he left. He said, this is a low volume offense. I'm never going to shine here. I need a different opportunity.
His second year at Georgia as a sophomore, let's just round it up. He had 497 yards, but let's call it what it is. He had 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. Again, producing. At the University of Alabama as a junior, He had 677 yards, 7 touchdowns. His last year at Alabama, he had 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. So there's a narrative out there that
on 50 some odd targets.
on 50 some odd targets. So there's a narrative out there that Jermaine Burton didn't produce.
Yeah.
And that's just not
Again,
true.
when you look at his yards per target, you're talking second
Yeah.
out of 39 receivers in the draft that qualify.
Yeah.
That's when you look at it and you take how many targets he got into account. You tell me he didn't produce. I said he produced at the second highest rate of anybody.
Yeah.
So I disagree entirely with that narrative.
Let's go even further. There's another narrative out there. Jermaine Burton is a slot receiver.
Played more snaps on the outside.
Dominated wide.
He
out wide.
dominated. He dominated.
Yeah.
He dominated. He played more snaps outside.
Yeah.
He made mincemeat of the competition. Let's go a step further. Jermaine Burton is small. Jermaine Burton's going to struggle against press. Jermaine Burton violated press coverage. It's the reason why Jermaine Burton went before Troy Franklin. Those were real concerns. Troy Franklin's 6'3", 170 pounds. And guess what? People said, what would that guy look like in the NFL when somebody's up in his chest pressing him? Would he fall back? What would happen? You ask everybody. Listen, the general public was more high on Troy Franklin than actual people, actual scouts inside the NFL than they were. But nobody that I spoke to was shocked that Jermaine Burton went ahead of Troy Franklin. That's the way that it always should have been.
I think that's a good point, too, because Troy Franklin, I know he was a favorite, but again, 76% of his routes were hitch, slant, go. That is an extremely limited route tree versus Jermaine Burton. He was running corners, crossers, posts, goes, hitches, outs, posts, slants, screens, everything. And that's the other thing is he only had 2 screen targets.
Yeah.
He's not getting the screen targets that all these other guys are getting where they're force feeding this offense to him. He had to go earn that, especially in an offense that like we said, Jalen Milroe was not the entrenched starter until like week 5. They were rotating quarterbacks with Tyler Buckner. I know. That's the face you should make too.
Let's go a step further though, Ev. I see people commenting. Mike S., you said nothing on the field is a knock on Burton. And again, you guys know, State of the Jungle, the vibe might have changed, the studio might have changed, but we still include you guys in the conversation. It says nothing on the field is a knock on Burton. Outside of his maturity, don't want to draft him and have him slam his sports car into people and take off something stupid that comes with immaturity. Well, let me be real with you. We've never had an issue off the field with Jermaine Burton. You had the one incident when he was walking off the field, and I believe I don't like when college you treat these college athletes like they're professionals, right?
I mean, you see it happen in basketball all the time.
Right.
People storm the court and end up stepping on players.
They end up stepping on players and players up. And he should have kept his composure.
100%.
He should have kept his composure.
Needs
That
to be
was a
said.
bad moment, and that's a moment where he's highlighted. But it's not like he went out there and he had an off the field issue. But also, let's talk about his immaturity. I'm gonna go a step further. Cincinnati, this is for you. You had Chad Ochocinco as a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. Let me say that again. You had Chad Ochocinco as a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. The man who literally hit a cell phone in a goalpost, called it, put on a jacket that said Hall of Famer, proposed to a cheerleader on the sideline, used to literally call his coaches and say, hey, coach, how you going to stop 85? Get me involved in the game plan. And you're concerned about a player being passionate on the football
field? Channeling it the right way, right?
Yeah.
Which is part of maturing, right? That's part of the development process as much as trying to improve how he runs routes, right?
I just think that when it comes to the people trying to knock this guy, or you're reading the tea leaves, that's why you listen to State of the Jungle. I wish State of the Jungle could talk about everybody's team, but guess what? You guys are blessed enough to see us talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, right? So the simple fact that I'm trying to make is we're going to destroy narratives that you hear out there. It's like when people say the Cincinnati Bengals, like, well, I forgot earlier this year, they said, oh, the Bengals don't pay their quarterbacks. I think Shannon Sharp said that. We're always going to look to destroy the BS that you hear on a regular basis. We're going to tell you guys the truth. This is coming from 2 Alabama Crimson Tides fans who were not high on J.C. Latham, who were not high on other Alabama players. We can tell you Jermaine Burton was a difference maker on the football field. There is no bias in my rap. I didn't want the Bengals to draft any other Alabama player outside of that guy.
That's it.
Terry Arnold,
That's it.
but because that guy is a difference maker.